right, everybody. Not just yet. Can I get everyone to stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? Our flag is right over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag. All right, thank you all for coming tonight. This is our first City Council forum here in Cape Coral. Thanks. It's a lot of hard work, I gotta say. I want to thank the owner of Dublin Ale House, Frank Williams. Where are you at? Make sure you support him and his establishment here at Dublin Ale House. Make sure you order food, order drinks, and make sure you tip your waitress and your waiter, all right? I also want to thank Pere Pass. Where are you, Pere? There she is. Pere is our state... Where is this? All right. Pere is our chairwoman on the Florida Federated Young Republicans. She's also president of the Jacksonville Young Republicans, and she's also recently elected as Vice President at Large for the National Young Republicans, so give her a round of applause. She works really hard. I also give her an opportunity to speak after the forum, so if you all want to stick around and hear what she has to say about what's going on in the state and what's going on around the country with the Young Republicans, please stick around and hear what she's got to say. We also have a straw poll. If everyone signed in up front, make sure that you drop your straw poll ballot in the box up front before you leave. Let's see. Also, like Chris was mentioning earlier, we have raffles going on in our 50-50. So if you want to win some cash tonight, make sure you pick up a 50-50 ticket up front. And also, our raffles we're going to be doing next month at Vino Picasso in North Fort Myers. So we're going to be raffling off the Bongo punching bag to this Republican throw rug up here. We're going to be giving away gift cards and all kinds of things, so make sure you go to that. And also donations. Donations are very important. It keeps our club going. It keeps us doing the things that we're doing tonight. So we've got Kara and we've got Paul up front. They've got a donation pitcher. They're going to be passing that around. So if you can drop a few bucks or even some change, that can go a long way with this club, all right? So all your support really matters. All right, so now fill your glasses. This is going to be a long night. I'd like to have all the candidates come up front, and they're pretty much here. All right, we're waiting for a few. We got Mayor John Sullivan in the back, Dan Ashby. All right, we're about to start. All right, buddy, I gotta sit here. Sorry. Oh, you're trying to get on there. One thing I didn't mention, there were some questions that we did not get to. We're going to do 7 questions tonight. A lot of the questions that we could not put in tonight's forum are on the chairs. If you didn't get one, make sure the person next to you, if they do have one, take a look at it. There's 10 questions there. Those questions will be posted on our website. They have a week to fill them out and submit them to me, and then I think it's going to be a week from today. And then we're going to submit them, I think it's the 14th, which will be a Wednesday. So check out our website. Our website's swflyoungrepublicans.com, and we're also going to post it on our Facebook page. Who's going to do timekeeping? Cassandra, the girl who's supposed to do it. It's not even... Just a minute. Matt, I need someone to do paddles. Timekeeping. Where's the paddles? Alright. Who's going to do time? Because Cassandra's not here. Well, we're Adams. I can't do it. Paul, can you do it? Can you do this? Do you have a time? timer? Can you download a timer on your phone? I got it. Okay. Just bear with us for just one more minute. And one thing I forgot to mention as well, we reached 30,000 people in Lee County on our Facebook page and on our website. That's tremendous for us. We've worked really hard to reach that amount of people. So just something to keep in mind. If anybody ever wants to sponsor us, we can get tremendous traffic on our website. All right. All right, let's get started. We only have 7 questions, and to be fair to everyone, we will draw a name out of a hat. That way nobody goes first twice. Introductions will be 2 minutes. Questions will be a minute. And if someone mentions your name or says my opponent, you will be asked if you would like to respond, and you have a 30-second response. We have 2 paddles here. One that's got 30 seconds, and the other one has got a minute, or actually 30 seconds and stop. So once you hit that red paddle here, that means I'm going to have to try to cut you off, all right? All right. We're going to do this form a little bit different than we've done forms in the past. I would like to turn back the clock and look back at Cape Coral's history a little bit. Because we all know how important it is not to repeat mistakes of the past. When it was decided to do a Cape Coral City Council forum, I started to do some research. I started to look back at the city's history, and what I found really irritated me. But before I get to that, I'd like to take a few minutes to look at the slides right up behind you. These are images that were taken back in the 1960s. Cape Coral used to be a place where every family wanted to visit. People came here because of the tropics, warm weather, and attractions. I know I did. But this history is not here. We used to have movie stars visit, we had tropical gardens, we had waltzing waters. And when I discovered this, I looked into the waltzing waters and discovered the family-operated business still exists here in Cape Coral. A few of us took a tour right down in Vizcaya in the industrial park area, and we were told that the waltzing waters was the largest in the country here in Cape Coral. Now only exists in Las Vegas. Michael Hostalwick gave us a show, and we had a few pictures that show that show. And if we get to the slides here, these are the pictures of the Cape Coral's past. And this is the Rose Gardens. And just keep going. Obviously, you know, a lot has changed over the years. Just keep pushing it. Yeah. Dolphin shows, we had seal shows, we had all kinds of things back in the 60s. There were brochures. This is how we marketed Cape Coral in the 60s. A lot of it had to do with the waltzing waters. Keep going. Just keep going. See, the brochures, everyone, that's what they really got when they came down here at the dolphin shows, etc., etc. So basically, there were the tickets. And there's Bob Hope visiting Cape Coral back in the day. We also had a display of JFK's travel bus that also was here in Cape Coral and was on display. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. If we can fast forward the slides all the way to the end. We also filmed movies back in the 60s. That was the Fat Spy. These are the pictures I took when I went to the Waltzing Waters warehouse right there on the Industrial Parkway. I mean, they're gorgeous. I mean, obviously, a lot of people would be attracted to things like that. I was kind of actually amazed when I walked in there because a lot of this, you know, I've never honestly seen, and if I did see it, it was probably in Vegas. But this is the last slide. This is the one, this is the project, the $1 million project he's working on currently. So at the beginning of this, I said I was really irritated. Michael told me that Waltzing Waters was offered to the city for free for decades. He said that this business offered to give it to a nonprofit and split the revenues 3 ways. One to a nonprofit, and to the other to the city, and then the third going back to Waltzing Waters. Also, he offered a selling idea to sell tickets with discounts on the back of them so the local businesses would increase profitability for their local businesses. Michael said that his father, who originated Waltzing Waters in the 1960s, had a wish. His dying wish was to bring Waltzing Waters back to Cape Coral. So I say, keep it in the Cape. Thank you. So here's my question, and it's going to go to Rick Williams, far end. You got a microphone down there? Make sure it's on. I don't know if the switch is up. All right. Many of our members and Young at Heart members are very concerned about City's Hall vision of Cape Coral and how it seems to be very different than the original version or vision of the Rosen brothers had for our city. What do you think it is possible, or do you think it is possible for us to market this city as it was intended, with attractions such as Waltzing Waters, dolphin shows, and tropical gardens? We used to attract Hollywood. Do you think we'll get there again?
Before I answer that, are we starting into the forum?
You gotta stand over.
Ricky?
What's that?
Are we starting into the forum now?
Yes.
Do we have our opening statements?
I'm so sorry. I missed. How about we do the opening, or how about we answer the question and then we'll get to the opening statements? How about that?
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes.
I made a mistake. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you very much. In answer to your question, anything that we can bring into the city that will bring tourism in is a benefit. The city has a history with what you showed up there. In fact, I was down here and saw that back in the 70s. And I remember that it was just a beautiful program.
Here's this one, please. Here's this one. It's much better. They can hear you. There you go.
That answers my question. Do I start over again, or did you hear the beginning? All right. In answer to the question, yes, absolutely. Anything that we bring into the city that will increase tourism, which is a major business, we should think about doing that. The only obstacle, of course, is where do we put it at the moment. I was down here in the 70s and saw the Rose Garden. I saw Waltzing Waters, and they were really outstanding, and it was a highlight of the visit. So my answer to your question, yes, I do believe that we should get that type of business in here, that type of entertainment, anything we can do to bring in tourism. Thank you.
Here we go. Okay, Rick, you want to come out here and ask questions where everybody can see you? Okay, there you go. Thank you much. There you go.
Thank you. My name is Kevin McRae. I'm your District 6 councilman. And as far as the Rosen Brothers vision for Cape Coral, while they wanted to entice people here with dolphin shows and Waltzing Waters, we've matured a little bit beyond that. I personally think the city of Cape Coral, the strength of our city is our collection of neighborhoods and our ability to keep clean, safe neighborhoods. The other major strength of our city is our waterfront, all of those canals throughout the city. We work very hard to keep those canals dredged. We actually have a system for them. The other problem with trying to bring tourism right now is we need to improve our number of hotel and motel beds. We right now have quite a deficit. So we need to get those kind of things in place before we start trying to recruit a bunch of tourists, because we need to keep those dollars in Cape Coral. Thank you.
Good evening, Richard Leone. Gulf American Corps had an idea for the city, and that idea didn't really play out. They wanted to have a retirement home. They wanted to bring in the businesses up that would be able to attract that. And due to the way Cape Coral was built, today we have a median age of 42. Today we have a wide variety of different types of residents. So do we bring it back to what GAC, Gulf American Corps, wanted? No. But how do we go further from now? In 2011, the city commissioned FGCU. They did some studies in the city of Cape Coral. I got to take part in some of them, and that was to identify what Cape Coral is, what the people wanted. And out of that, a lot of the talk was that with Cape Coral, a good idea would be to have different type of zones. Everybody can support themselves. You're not stretching out to Fort Myers, you're not stretching out across the county, but we're bringing it in each specifically to where we live in the area. So that's exactly what we need to continue working on and how we do it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Chalakis Leeds. I am your current District 4 City Council member running for re-election. In answer to the gentleman's question, the Rosen brothers were wonderful entrepreneurs, and they certainly served the city of Cape Coral very well in the late 50s and through the 60s. We are a different city today. We are a different day and age. Technology has taken us to places that many of us, my age and older, never imagined possible. We need to open up our city to all sorts of potential businesses, and the best way to do that would be to get your local and your county government out of the way and let good old capitalism work. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. David Head here. Cape Coral, it's interesting, the picture we looked at, but that's certainly not where we're at today. We're a solid bedroom community. We should be taking any funds that we have and trying to develop businesses that will create jobs for the people in town. I do agree with Chris on the fact that one thing I noticed down here is quite often the government gets too off into the private sector. And I think really they should leave it up to private enterprise in order to grow the city. But really we should probably try and get more businesses in. And that would be the best thing that could happen for the city. Thank you.
Well, good evening to everybody. I'm Jim Birch. Probably many of you know me, and if you don't, I'm not going to bore you with all the details. I've got cards here I'll hand out to anybody that needs them. First of all, I want to say thanks to the Young Republicans for having us all here. We are very beholden to you. The only, take that 5 seconds off my time. The Rosen brothers' vision, I think, was probably more in tune with a tourist area, etc. Let's talk about Jim Birch's vision. My vision back when I was in office from 2007 to 2009 was a vision that the phrase has been coined and been said many times since then, but the world was crashing and burning, and I said for the first time around here, we have an educated workforce, we have a great quality of life, we have canals that are the envy of the entire country, we have the infrastructure, and we're building more of that. We have many, many things that we have to offer. My vision is for Cape Coral to be the leader of Southwest Florida. There's no reason why we can't. The only thing we have to do is get out of our own way, remain civil, something we haven't done recently, and try and find a way to have our residents and our politicians in the same sync together and keep government under control while we're building the city out. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Ashby, and I'm running for Cape Coral Mayor. And again, thank you very much for the Young Republicans. I'm going to kind of go off of what Mr. Birch had to say. We have to stop looking back to move forward. The city has what it needs to move forward. You've heard a lot of people on this dais tonight say something about we have to work with other municipalities. We have to work with other people. We have to earn our reputation back, folks. We've lost that reputation that we had because of the way things are being run. And until we do that, we're not going to get what we need from all those other municipalities in this area. We need to earn that respect back. We can do that with a great leader and move forward. The water parks are great. Why couldn't we put something like that right at Four Freedoms Park? You got the area, you can't swim in that area anyway, you got signs put up everywhere that says no swimming. That's just one small area. We can move this city forward, and I agree, we have to get on the same page to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vince Cummings, and I'm a candidate for mayor of Cape Coral. I want to point you to one of the pieces of art up here. It says, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." My good friend, our city historian, Paul Sanborn. Is Paul here in the room? There he is. He made a comment to me one time that Cape Coral is the unfinished portrait. That we are a city whose mosaic is still yet to be cast. And each and every one of us play a role in finishing that picture from generation to generation to generation. My friend Paul's been here from the beginning. My family came in the 70s. Many people came in the 80s, 90s, and beyond. But we're one family. Thank you.
My name is A.J. Boyd. Some of you may know me already. I'll keep it short and sweet. The Rosens had an idea. It was to build a community. Unfortunately, we got hit with their pre-platted idea. And in order to bring in infrastructure, we have to have the UEP and things like that that are a necessary evil. We have places to go to touch base on. Will Hollywood ever be here? I don't know if Hollywood will ever be here, but we have Sunsplash and things that obviously attract people into the city, but not in a big way. We need to market the city to bring in people so we can offer them jobs so they can also live here. We need two things. We need people to live here, but we also need them to work here. Right now they're living here, but they're driving over the bridge, paying a toll, spending their money at the mall, doing whatever, working their job, and then coming back to Cape Coral with nothing. What we need to do is focus on economic development, get some jobs, and then you build it, they will come. We've done it already once. Thanks.
John Sullivan, current mayor of Cape Coral, running for re-election. I want to thank the Young Republicans one more time. My take is a little bit different. We have a city that we're trying to grow here, but at the same time, we don't have the proper structure as far as commercial development and so forth is concerned. So every time the city wants to spend money, they come after the residents and they come after the businesses that are in our community today, and it weakens our businesses, which hurts any possibility of creating the right type of jobs. So what we really need to do is to create new revenue streams. You heard about our diversified revenue program. Well, guess what? It's not diversified at all. They're coming back to the same people all the time, digging in our pockets. What we need to do is to create new revenue streams to generate more money to be able to support the city in order to grow in a proper manner, in a proper way. Right now, we don't have that, but I think we can do it. I'm a can-do person, and thank you.
All right, I'd like to apologize for not doing introductions to begin with. So, Mr. Mayor, can you start first?
Sure. First of all, experience-wise, I've got almost 4 years as mayor right now. 25 years in the brokerage business. I worked mainly on the Chicago Board of Trade, but I had a stockbroker's license, I had a commodity broker's license. I also had a floor broker's license. And I am a former member of the Chicago Board of Trade. I ran a floor operation on the Board of Trade that did at least $100 million a day in 30-year bonds. Every day, $100 million. Every 2 weeks, it was $1 billion that we ran. That was back in 1986.
I spent 17 years as an IT professional. I worked in many different businesses for many different companies. I worked for a company called Dacian Company. That was the second largest brokerage firm in the world at the time. It's now called Prudential Dash. I worked for McDonald's. I worked in their corporate headquarters. I worked for the First National Bank of Chicago. I worked for the Options Exchange. I worked for two fabricated steel companies. I worked for a wholesale sporting goods company and grocery chains, big companies. I'm very, very much ingrained in this community. I belong to the Calusa chapter of the Military Officers Association. I'm not a veteran. I'm an honorary member. The Elks, the Moose, the Cape Coral Republican Club. I belong to the Combat Infantrymen's Association, the German American Club, the Irish American Club, Lee County Republican Executive Committee, and the VFW. So I'm out there with people every day wanting to know what you people are thinking so I can give you the kind of government that you want. We need to know what your expectations are, otherwise we can't do our jobs. So I'm all about the people, I'm all about the taxpayers, the businesses. Everything has to gel together and come together. Without businesses, we don't have jobs. Without jobs, you can't put food on your table. Yeah, we have a lot of retirees, and thank God we've got them, especially in these hard economic times. But we have to start considering ourselves one community. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Boyd. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I have lived here 27 years. My family's grown up here. I have a son and a daughter, both off, married, moved away. Actually, they didn't move far away. They're still in yelling distance. I have two grandchildren also, which I enjoy spending time with immensely. A little bit about me personally. Oh, and as far as the clubs and things that I've joined, these are the 2 pages. I'm not going to bore you with it. I started back when I was 25 when all my friends were out partying and having a good time, and I decided I wanted to make a difference in my city at a young age, so I ran for mayor of Cape Coral at age 25. Knew that I was going to get blown out of the water. Thought I'd come in last, actually. I didn't. I came in 5th out of 9 or 4th out of 9. But promised I would come back. I've told you people I would come back, so I did. I came back, I ran, I got elected. I did 9 years on council, have the most experience out of anyone sitting here as far as the political background goes with you and your local tax dollars and what's being done with them and what has been done with them. As far as what I stand for, I'm a real simple type of guy. I want to bring in economic development and jobs. You know, somebody said we got to offer tax incentives. We definitely got to lower taxes. You guys got hit tax like 3 or 4 right in a row just in the last 6 months. But offering a tax incentive to a friend of mine, let's say, that just lost his house is like offering a full tank of gas to a bicyclist. It makes no sense. He lost his house because he lost his job. He's saying, AJ, get me a job. That's what he's saying. So what I'm going to do when I get in office is I'm going to focus as hard as I did in 1998 to make this one of the fastest growing cities as it was, and it will be once again if you elect me mayor. Pretty much I think that's about my time. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is Vince Cummings, and I'm a candidate for mayor of Cape Coral. I'd like to start off by saying that when you look at someone's life, you see the values that are represented in what they've done and how they've made their livelihood. My whole life has been service to others. I've been a career military officer in our reserve components for the last 25 years, to include a combat tour in Iraq. I'm a military chaplain. I know what it's like to build relationships that last. When I was in Iraq, I had a hand in moving millions of tons into the Republic to help win the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. In addition to that, I worked 10 years in public education as a citizen soldier in my civilian livelihood. In coming back home, I've assisted in the day-to-day operations of the town of Fort Myers Beach as a volunteer assistant to the town manager. And I'm proud of the accomplishments that I accomplished for that municipality. So when we're making our decision about who we choose to lead our community into this next decade, I asked all of you to look at not just the bottom line and the dollars and cents, but look into what I said before about going nowhere where there's no trail and making it. We all have the ability within us, with the qualities, the leadership traits, and most of all, the business and public sector experiences to build this community to reach the destiny that those Rosen brothers had many, many years ago. I got through reading the book Lies That Came True by Betsy Zeese, and they even said it themselves that whether the city of Cape Coral realized it or not, they had a role to play. And as I said before, all of us have a role to play together as a family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Ashby. I'm not going to go into the background of all the different groups because the main group that I'm a part of is the National Coalition for Patriots. You may have heard of that. It's for the organization for not just wounded soldiers, but soldiers alike that are in now that need financial help or any advocacy there possibly be. A little bit about myself and my family. Most of you probably know Corey, which is my stepson, which was injured in Afghanistan. We also have Cassie, Zach, and Lexi. Zach goes to Island Coast High School here in Cape Coral. Corey and Tiffany were born and raised in Cape Coral. I came here about a decade ago. I've been a businessman ever since. I most recently was with an executive city operations manager for Hertz, which you've all heard that we're moving our corporate headquarters down. I've since transitioned out of that position because I wanted to run for Cape Coral mayor, and they knew that. And it was something that me and my family felt was a very important thing to do. And so we decided as a family that that's what I was going to concentrate on. I do consulting with them and as far as their movement here, and I'm very proud of what we're going to do with the 700 new jobs. What do I plan to do for the city? Folks, some of us have said tonight that we've been here for 9 years. I think they had their shot. It's time for some people that aren't politicians and that are community-oriented and have the business background to move this city forward. I have the plan, I've pointed my plan, and I put it out there for everybody to see. It's easy to sit here on the dais tonight and talk about what they want to do, but I've shown you what I want to do and how I want to move this city forward. And we need a person and a leader that can do that, and I am that person. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Once again, Jim Birch, City Council, District 1. I started my career as a councilman in District 1 in 2007. Before I go there, I do want to acknowledge my family. My beautiful wife, she's not here tonight, hates politics, don't blame her. My oldest son, Zachary, many of you probably know him. He worked with Paige Kriegel as a state legislator up in Tallahassee. My daughter is a teacher in the Cape Coral schools, and my youngest son is at the universities in Orlando. So we're very, very grounded in the community and in the state of Florida. We've been here over 20 years. Let's talk about politics, leadership, all of those things. I started in 2007. There was a referendum, $110 million public safety building referendum, didn't like it. And I said, it's time for me to step in. Never had any inkling to go into politics. Not a big deal to me. But I thought I could do something good. Well, fast forward, here's the experience part, folks. In those 2 years that I was on council, we put together a police station for under $20 million. We built fire station number 1, and I asked the contractor to reconsider, go back and put the bids out again because the market conditions had changed. He did that, didn't have to, saved $500,000. We ended up building Stoneham Park, Sanborn Park, the charter high school. We got a lot accomplished in the 2 years of the worst economic disaster this country has ever known. Leadership provided all that. Our budget in 2009-2010, the last budget, was a budget that went from $177 million to $137 million, still the lowest budget the city has ever seen to date. Our overall budget was $379 million, still the lowest budget you will see up till date. And I ask for you to consider that experience, my business experience as a business owner. I know my 25 employees every day. When I had the business for 10 years, I had to worry about getting them a check every day. That was my prime concern. The way to do that was to treat my clients like they were my family.
All right, thank you. Mr. Head. Thank you. Folks, David Head. Real quick background, also also come from Massachusetts. Attended Northeastern University, graduated with a bachelor's, major in economics. Took employment with Pratt Whitney Aircraft, and from there went to General Dynamics in submarines, was a contract administrator all the time, before I finally got tired of the cold weather and moved down here. I've stood before many of you in 2005, and at that time I pledged fiscal responsibility. Well, the councils of 2005 and 2007 didn't agree with me, and the city paid the price and so have the employees. We really have to make every dollar count, and we have to look at every aspect, and I'm rather disconcerted with what we have happening right now. We have here a tax, there a tax, everywhere a tax. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I keep asking for a plan of action. Where are we going to be in 5 years? Nobody can tell me. So I don't think that's the way to build a program. If any of you in construction here were to build a house, you certainly would not build a house without a plan. So, is that stop? Oh, okay. So I don't want to go back. My former home was Massachusetts, and I really don't want Cape Coral to become the same thing. So vote for me. Vote for somebody who's going to look very, very careful before any taxes are raised and see that every dollar we make is wisely spent. We do not want to get back to where we were before. Councilmember Leeds.
Thank you. I believe this is our introductions. Folks, again, my name is Chris Chalakis Leeds. I'm your current District 4 council member. And I have to tell you, during this period of introduction, I am very humbled to be called what I never believed I would be called. It's a word that comes across in a negative way. I never thought anybody in my lifetime would call Chris Leeds an incumbent. It would seem to me, folks, that if you wanted to give the respect to someone who has served in office, give him a better name, like he's a repeater. That would be much, much better than an incumbent. But nonetheless, I'm proud to be your incumbent for District 4. I hold 2 degrees, one in emergency medical services and a bachelor's degree with concentration in psychology and communications. I have served on the City Council now for 3 years and about 9 months, and have found the work to be very challenging, to very much enjoy the contact I have with people. One of the things that I've found as your elected City Council member, and having watched for nearly 13 years prior to my election in 2009, was that many council members are very inconsistent. Many councils are inconsistent in how they represent you. One thing that I ask out of my elected officials is that they show me some consistency. Don't vote to put in a beach at Four Freedoms Park on a stormwater runoff basin. That is not consistent with frugal expenditures. More to come.
Mr.
One of the questions I get going out talking to residents, going out to these meetings, the forums, why are you running? Why are you running in Cape Coral? You got so much other things you can do. Why are you running? I'm running for you. Because this city deserves somebody who will go after the budget, someone who will look in detail. The city deserves somebody who will work with businesses across the board. The city deserves somebody who respects the residents, who will listen to the residents, and will give the respect back. The city demands that. I demand that. from an elected official. Why am I running? Because I hold this office up higher than most people will. Because it's my city, as it is yours. I grew up here. My hometown is Cape Coral. And I just want to see it succeed. And together we can see it succeed. But we got to bring that respect back, folks. We got to be able to be on that council and be able to listen to the residents, be able to listen to your peers up on that council, so we can pass the ordinances and resolutions that need to take place for future build out of this city. Why am I running? I'm running for you. Vote Richard Leone, November 5th. And let's begin making this city a better place. Thank you.
My name is Kevin McGrail. I am your District 6 representative. I want to thank the Young Republicans for sponsoring this forum tonight. A great turnout for the residents. Thank you for coming. I ran for office in 2009. I had no political experience at all. I was working as a medical technologist, and I recognized in 2009 that the Cape Coral I brought my family to back in 1989 was starting to fall apart. The foreclosed homes were dotting in every neighborhood. The city was getting overgrown. The city was looking blighted and neglected. I ran for office at the worst time to run for office in the city of Cape Coral. We were at an all-time low on budget. Very few prospects of a brighter tomorrow. But we whittled away at that. We whittled away at that by, number one, saving our residents, $1.7 million. We brought in Waste Pro. I was front and center of that. I became the garbage councilman. Many of you called me personally. I had 2 phones that would ring almost nonstop. And I took a frontline leadership role in that because I knew that if we could get that successful in our city, it would be best for our citizens. Right now, we have the lowest rates in Southwest Florida by far and the best system. 22 of 26 land use changes were put in the city in my district. District 6 was everything north of Pine Island Road. We're trying to carve out the commercial corridors to prevent the mistakes of the past, going into established neighborhoods and then trying to put business in. We set those corridors. Thank you. My information's in the back. Please take the time to look at it. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Williams, candidate for the District 6 Council seat. Thank you all for coming to learn more about the candidates, and thank you to the Young Republicans for hosting this forum. Great turnout. You will hear tonight that many of the candidates have similar platforms, and as the questions are asked, you will be better able to judge their goals and values. Your job is to separate the facts from the rhetoric. I want to move beyond that rhetoric and talk about teamwork. We have witnessed in the past where the lack of teamwork on the dais and in the community has stagnated our growth and created a less than inviting place to live and work. Our recent recession certainly fueled the problems we had, but we are turned around. Now it's time to move ahead with our future. The council and city staff need to actively embrace our citizens and our businesses in planning and decision process. We should stop bashing our employees, stop criticizing our board, committee, and commission members, and value their input. We have many very qualified, intelligent residents that need to be part of this process. You folks need to be part of this process. I am a team builder. My 22-year naval career and civilian management experience taught me that being a team player and empowering that team were the magic ingredients to success. Planned growth is vital to our city's success. Visionary thinking residents, developers, real estate, businesses, and construction industry are key to this endeavor.
Tax diversification is truly going to come when we have grown our tax base, not found another way to take money from the same pockets. We have started our turnaround, and we need to continue it, becoming a professional, efficient, friendly city of yes, we can. A great quote I found on the local realtor's website. We must overcome difficulties rather than being overcome by difficulties. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the questions, and we're going to start with Mr. Dan Spoon. You got a microphone right there in front of you. In front of the agent. If you move it over just a bit, thank you. And then we're just going to move on to the left, and then we're going to start back on the other side and just move to the left again. So, your question is, as an elected official, what would you do to reach out to the youth in Cape Coral? Many candidates attend meetings such as ours before they are elected, but after they are elected, they quit reaching out to those who put them in office.
All right, sorry. Is it on?
Dan, use this one, Dan. It's much better. There you go. Use this one, Dan. I know you don't need one.
Yeah, I don't need one. Sorry. All right, can you hear me now? All right. Now, you starting my time over, right? I'm just kidding. Listen, really, what we need, folks, is that question is absolutely a good question, because we do need our youth to get involved with what's going on today. It's great programs like the Young Republicans. Corey's here tonight. My son Zach comes to these. We got to start now so that we don't have the same situations and the same problems that we go forward. They can learn and see how we're going to progress this city forward. It's very important. One of the things in my plan is the community outreach, using the Facebooks, the media, the things that they are into. We have to use that technology to get into their heads and to get into where they're at, not where we're at. We got to go to them, and we got to use their knowledge and what they want to do and be a part of that family. We all talk about team and leadership. They need to be a part of that team. They are just important as anybody else in this room, and we can reach them.
Thank you. Mr. Collins. Can you repeat the question? Sure. As an elected official, what would you do to reach out to youth in Cape Coral? Many candidates attend meetings such as ours before they are elected. After they are elected, they quit reaching out to those who put them in office.
I'd like to begin by saying that the median age here in the city of Cape Coral is roughly 43, meaning that from the time that I originally was raised, where it was in the 60s and higher, we've dropped. Young, working, middle-aged families are the bedrock of our community. I do not believe that it's the role of government to get involved in creating entertainment opportunities within the city. I think that's the role of the private sector. But I will say that we have a tremendous parks and recreation program, tremendous water park and Sunsplash that we need to increase investment in. And most importantly, we need to create an environment where our young people feel welcome and not second-class citizens, because for many years that has been the case. To create a better opportunity for the city of Cape Coral for its youth, we need to get more of our hard-working middle-aged families and their children involved in their city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd.
Okay.
That's a great question, and I'm living proof that if you do elect me, I will do something for the youth. After I was elected the first time, I've actually, a couple of things on my resume. I actually formed a group with a couple of other members of the community, such as the police chief, Arnold Gibbs. We put together the Cape Coral Youth Center. Actually, when I was running for council, Sunsplash had a slide that the previous council had bought, and they funded the slide, but they forgot to fund the installation. So for 3 years, the kids saw the candy, but they couldn't eat it. So when I got into council, I said, that is absolutely ridiculous. We allocated the funds, the slide was up the year I was put into office. I think it's important for families that we do keep up with use. The skate park, I'm a founding member of the Eagle Skate Park, which we raised individual funds for that, not tax dollars. There's multiple things that I've done that I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you afterwards, but I'm just unfortunately running out of time, so thank you.
First of all, I think we're looking at more than one level here. The best thing we can do to help the youth in the city is to make sure that their parents have jobs and are able to put food on the table. We have many different organizations that are involved in this right now, here now, today. And yes, you've got sports, but we have to reach out also to the educational institutions and the mid-level young people in their 40s and 50s, 30s that are trying to raise their families and create an environment so that they can make enough money, they can make a living in order to be able to feed their families. We need to look toward organizations like Kiwanis with the backpack programs, CCMI, and all these other organizations. We don't want these people going hungry. And to me, that's a very, very important thing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams is next. Thank you. This leads back to my opening statement about getting people involved. We need to definitely get the young people involved in working with this city. One of the keys is to make it a city they want to be involved in. Right now, I don't know any young person who would like to even come to the council meetings. We need to be something that people want to be part of. I met a young couple sitting over there at a table. I'm not going to mention their names, but they are here. I was delighted to see them. And one of the statements I made to them was, you've got to get involved. We have to make the city friendly enough to get them involved. Go to the school, say, try to get programs started, talk to the teachers, that type of thing. It's imperative because eventually we're just going to be old people. Thank you.
Same question. My commitment to the youth of Cape Coral is the fact that I convinced my son to bring my 5 grandchildren to this side of the river. So I have a commitment to the youth of Cape Coral because I have the greatest stake of all. My grandchildren live here. I've been a member of the charter school board for the past 2 years. I was involved in selecting our new superintendent, Angela Pruitt. I believe we have a great leader there. I've been fighting for the youth to get the light put in on Del Prado Boulevard. The Board of County Commissioners were going to turn that down. That's going to be installed hopefully by the end of this month. The final thing I've been involved with is to be very supportive of our Parks and Rec Department and our special populations. Those are all gems for this city. This is what keeps our youth active and keep them doing the right things in our city. I'm also very strong to do the right thing as well. Thank you.
Mr. Leon.
I can stay young. So I think one of the important things is, especially for folks out there, is it's not just about connecting with youth. It's about the hardest gap that I have is connecting with the older generations. What I've done in the past couple years, since 2011, is I stayed involved, I got involved, I went to groups, I became a member of the Republican Executive Committee, the Young Republicans. I was vice president last year. I went involved with the Cape Coral Republican Club. I got involved with Civic. I just became so involved in these groups because there was no youth there, and except for the Young Republicans, of course. And I wanted to help be that key factor in there, to learn what you guys have to say and connect with you on a one-on-one basis. And I continue to try to connect with some of y'all, and I want to continue that when I am elected. And that's going to be my biggest goal, is to make sure the youth is connected with you, and we can move forward from there. Thank you.
Could you reread the question loud and clear, please?
As an elected official, would you reach out to the youth in Cape Coral? Many candidates attend meetings such as ours before they are elected, but after they are elected, they quit reaching out to those who put them in office.
Thank you. Folks, I've been extremely accessible for the last 3.5 years. I was the first council member in the history of Cape Coral to publish the city cell phone number so that people had access to me. I believe the question is exactly part of the problem. It is not the government's job to reach out to the people. It's the government's job to get out of the way of the people. If the young people of Cape Coral want to be involved, they will choose to be involved. If they want to participate in local government, they will participate. As we attempt to try and bring people toward government, we oftentimes push them away. Keep in mind that as an elected official for the city of Cape Coral, our job is to set policy which will cause the positive events. That is not what we've seen over the last 18 months, and I don't want to lose the opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Henry. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I was not too long ago elected to lead a group of roughly 1,500 to 1,700 people. And in thinking about how I was going to do it successfully is exactly what this question is all about. I decided I would reach out to each and every one of them as often as I could. And I quite frankly was surprised at how thankful they were that I would pay attention to them. So I would do the same thing here. It's an outreach program, whether it be the youth or whether it be the older people. If you're out and you're in touch with the people, you're going to have a successful outcome. Thank you.
Well, there's two parts to the question. Let me answer the second part first. In my 2 years in office, I answered every email and every call that came to me. And I can tell you that was tens of thousands. And it was difficult to do, but I made a policy of doing that. That's that part. As to the youth, been here for over 20 years, coached for most of those years. All of my kids I coached and many others. So I've been involved with youth from the moment I got here. I'm also a Bachelor of Science degree in English and secondary education, double major. One of the biggest things that I've pushed forever is education. I'm the president of the Cape Coral Mayor Scholarship Fund. We give out about $50,000 in scholarships every year through the hard work of a great board. So I'm committed to the youth here, always have been. Education is always the key to everything we do. I'm glad to see there's a couple of young candidates up here, and you know we'll move forward. Education is our key. Our youth are the key, and we'll support them every year, every way we can.
Thank you. All right, this next question we'll start with Mr. Head. If you can pass the microphone down there and say Mr. Head. All right. The question is, if elected, what are your 2 top goals that you would want to accomplish while you're in office?
The first goal is obviously my platform, fiscal responsibility. I want to get a consistent, cohesive council, and I'd also like to get a council that work together. The council, as I see it right now, is kind of dysfunctional. I see 6 to 2, 6 to 2, 6 to 2. Nobody's always wrong, and nobody's always right. So I would like to see a little better exchange of ideas and coming to what's in the best interest of the people in the city. And I don't think what's been happening is necessarily beneficial for the people. So I would like to create a change. Might be a little hard with the sunshine laws or whatever, but I really think the council should start talking to each other and understand where the other person's coming from, because everything at the end is going to be a compromise. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to your left. So Mr. Birch is next.
Same question.
Well, the top two goals, that's tough. There's, there's several. Growth, leadership, infrastructure, UEP, image, all kinds of things.
What are your two top?
I think right now, they float, but the top two now, watching council meetings and other things, is certainly leadership. We need to change the image of this city. I think 4 or 5 years back, we were getting some national attention as far as our city. The attention we're getting now is just for people screaming at each other. That's not leadership. We need to change the image of the city and let this city be the leader of Southwest Florida. That's done by getting a council together that's civil with each other. And you're right, David. People do have to get along up there. We are elected to do a job. We're not elected to be up there and be a bunch of kids. So leadership is very important. Growth goes along with that. If you get leadership, the growth will come. People outside of our city and outside of our county and outside of our state even will look at Cape Coral and say, wow, here's a place I'd like to be. That's an educated community. It's a beautiful community, and it's got plenty of room to grow.
Thank you. Mr. Ashby.
Thank you. Whoop, sorry. I get in trouble all the time for that. This is the one part that I'm really passionate about. What are the problems? You've heard there's several. Mine are economic development, obviously. It's part of the plan. Fiscal responsibility and transparency. But just like everybody up here said tonight, folks, we have to have somebody that has the passion and wants to be a part and make that team move forward. We are the 9th largest city in the 4th largest state, and we don't have any respect. We have to earn that respect back, and that's by getting people on the council that can work together and move forward. Part of that team, folks, is you. You're the most important part of that team, not everybody that's on the dais. And we can move this city forward. We have the people. I can lead this city forward with the right group of people. We can compromise and do the right things for the citizens and not what we think is the right thing on the dais. We can do this together as a team.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd. Mr. Cummings, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ricky. The two goals that I'd like to accomplish as mayor of Cape Coral are simple matters of public policy. Right now, the Water Resource Development Act, or WRDA, sits at the desks of our United States Congress. What's WRDA? WRDA is going to help solve the problem of the black water coming down the Caloosahatchee River, polluted water that goes into our saltwater canals, shuts our beaches down, and destroys the seagrass that we depend on for fishing. Cape Coral needs to be an advocate for Southwest Florida. I intend to be that advocate. I also want to see a charter school system that is fully and financially sustainable when it comes to its capital needs. A public municipal system that's one of only a handful in the state of Florida. Those are my two goals that I would like to see implemented as mayor of Cape Coral. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
My two goals actually tie in very simply, actually. Economic development is number one. Because let's face it, if we're not bringing in businesses, there's a trickle-down effect that leads to jobs, leads to taxes, it goes on and on. So I don't see how anything else other than economic development can't be number one, because without people having the jobs to pay the taxes, none of us would be having this discussion. As far as the council working together, I guess that goes up there in the top ranks. I've shown in the past, I worked with my council on many issues. I had 100 ordinances. I have almost a 90 percentile at passed as far as ordinances with my previous councils. And also I was elected vice mayor or mayor pro tem, depending on what you call it, 3 years consecutively. And that was by my peers. So yeah, we need to respect one another, but that's real. We should have grew up with that. You show people respect, you get respect back in return now.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, what we need to do is to start building this city with the proper long-term planning. One of the problems and one of the reasons why we marched into what we did in 2007, 8, and 9 is because we had all our eggs in one basket. It was one industry. We need to diversify our economy. And by diversification, I don't mean taxing it. Every time we add another tax, it weakens our business base,
it kills the potential for bringing in other businesses to create more jobs. That's the one and main important thing, is to be able to have our people out there working so that they can raise their families. They can have some of the good things. It seems recently every time we turn around it's another tax. It's a brand new tax. If you look at the 3-year plan budget, you'll see in 2016 there's about a 25% increase in what that budget's going to be in the general fund. That tells me there's more taxes ahead. We have to stop it. We have to cut it out now. We have to create the kind of atmosphere in order to bring in proper economic growth. Thank you.
I have more than 2 goals, but people are mentioning economic development. That is extremely important. But until we get some of our processes and procedures and ordinances and the land use development regulations updated, we're not going to see a whole lot of economic development. There's going to be a lot of wheel spinning out there. We have to be ready to have it. When we're ready, it will come. Economic development is very important. We need planning. We need long-range planning. We need citizens' participation in this planning. We need to know where we're going to go. Having small dollar stores and gas stations all over town, that's not economic development. We need to figure out what we're going to do. We need to invest in our future. We need to work with the developers. They're the ones that have the money. The city can't build. We need to get these people aboard and working with us. Thank you.
The number 1 goal for the city of Cape Coral is economic development. It's critical to our future. We were at 92% residential, 8% commercial when I took office. We made 26 land use changes in 2010. We now have 22% commercial properties carved out in this city. That's planning. That's proper planning. We need to recruit businesses here and put our people to work. There's a high-end RV resort coming to the North Cape. I was instrumental in bringing that to our city. It's a $23 million investment. It's going to bring high-end, deep-pocket people driving million-dollar motor coaches into Cape Coral. Let them see the city that we've grown to love. The other thing that must happen in Cape Coral is we have to maintain the integrity of the neighborhoods. The strength of Cape Coral is our clean, safe city. The fact that our neighborhoods are safe throughout the entire city is critical. Thank you.
Can I just say something real quick? Everyone, if you can hear me, everyone in the back, it's getting pretty loud up front here. I can almost not hear the candidates, so if we can just turn it down just a little bit. All right, let's continue on, Mr. Leon. I can talk louder if you want. That'll work. I guess there's a couple different goals that we could do. And if you sum it all up, I just have 2 goals. I just want to do a good job, and I want to be open to all residents. How do we do that? Well, one, it's important that we keep a budget. We keep the council member looks at the budget. We make sure that we work through staff and residents throughout the year. And also, the one thing, it's open government. It's because as a council member, I'll be open. You'll be able to hear me out. I'll be going out to you. We'll be doing everything. But it's not just being open. It's about how you respond back, how you represent yourself, how you represent your district. That's how we'll be different in the next 4 years, because of the representation. And that's what we're going to do further on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Weeks, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. If elected, what are your top 2 goals that you want to accomplish while in office, or in this case, another 4 years?
Thank you, sir. I asked for the question to be repeated specifically because the question asks about my goals. I'm going to remain consistent, and I'm going to move what previously was a lesser goal to the top of the list because my late mother asked me one thing when I did win election in 2009. She said, "Son, I'll be proud of you if you can get through 4 years without being indicted." So I will continue to make that one of my goals. Secondarily, as a goal, and it was one of my primary goals in 2009, and that is, I'm going to ask the hard questions, folks. I'm not going to take soft answers. I'm not going to listen to the people that want you just to go along to get along. I will represent each and every citizen of this city as best as I can, but I will never, ever give up my ethics or my honor in that event. Thank you.
All right, we've run through everybody, right? All right. The next question is going to go to Mr. Birch. And this question is, earlier this year, the City Council voted on tax increases to fund capital improvement projects and diversify revenue. Would you have voted for this tax increase? Why or why not?
Well, I'll tell you a little history on that one because back in 2009, 2010, when we were putting that low budget together and reduced spending more than anybody in this entire country, we were also faced with those same things. So 4 years later, this council is still talking about the same three assessments that we were talking about then. Back then, we said no. We said no because at the time, we had lost about 60% of our revenue, and so we had to work with a mill rate, and we had to reduce the spending to match what we had. So we were trying to live within our means. So it wasn't a soundbite. I'm not a no tax guy. I'm not a no spending guy. I'm a guy that says that we will spend only what the people of Cape Coral want, and we'll tell you.
But in this case, just this last vote, would you have voted for it?
So at the time, I would have said no. Now, fast forward now, we're talking about the fire service tax. I would probably say I would support it now simply because we need the streams of revenue. I don't consider that a new stream. I think that's a little disingenuous. However, it does reduce the mill rate accordingly, and even though it's not a tax deduction, which I think is probably not as good, I probably would support it because we need to maintain our infrastructure. Our wheels are falling off. You can go 4 years and do nothing and say you did nothing about taxes, but we need to maintain our quality of life and the safety of the city.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ash, and also can I remind everyone, please, if you can, just, keep your voices down, obviously, over there, you probably can't even hear you, so, anyway, keep going.
No, I did not support the tax, and I would not support the tax. Ever since I came out as a candidate, I've said I would not support it. Now, that being said, I understand as a businessman there's a need for diversification of revenue. There's other ways that we can do that. I didn't believe in the tax because I thought we pushed it through way too fast and we didn't get all of our ducks in a row. And now you can see what happened. Now they're doing the fire assessment, and now we can't get the millage reduction. So we lose the trust of the citizens when we tell them we're going to do something and we don't follow through for it. We need to make sure it's all in a row and we've got it all squared away. I'm not standing up here saying that we should never raise taxes. I'm not drawing a line in the sand. There are going to be instances that may have to happen, but there's other ways of diversifying revenue. That's called a tax, not revenue diversification.
Thank you. Mr. Cummings.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now, the homestead property owners bear the brunt of funding the services of the city of Cape Coral. Your ad valorem tax rate is roughly 7.953 on a scale of 1 to 10. The people who reside in their homes are bearing the biggest burden. I believe in revenue diversification because everyone should have a stake in providing and delivering the services for all of us. We need a broad base to include consumption as well as property taxes to ultimately share the burden and in the end, create a climate where businesses will want to come here to reduce the burden. Thank you.
Would you vote for that? Would you have voted for that or not?
As I said before, I believe, yes, that the taxes that were implemented by the council were appropriate and worthy to get us to where we need to be as a city. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bowden.
A tax is a tax is a tax. You go into the city hall, you want to open up a business, they give you a thing called a license. Guess what? It's a tax. It's just a different name every time I turn around that they put on these things. Answer it directly, no, I wouldn't have voted for it. And the reason I wouldn't have voted for it is because I think right now the people are getting hit with too much at once. Now, the theory of diversification, we're talking two different issues. One, do we rob your right pocket to pay your left and call it a different tax? Or two, is it really diversification of taxes? I'm for diversification of taxes, but I would have liked to have seen like the fire safety tax, a service tax. I would have liked to have seen that where the millage rate came down low enough. Instead of just one mills that they're going to reduce, I wish they had reduced enough to balance that service tax to zero to the public. And then as times grow with economic development, it would increase itself. It wouldn't come out of you. It would come out of new people. And I think that's who needs to stop paying the bill in Cape Coral is new people, not you people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Sullivan.
I voted against the taxes. I didn't believe that Cape Coral would disintegrate and get blown away the next day in a windstorm. That's certainly how it was presented. I think it hurts business. It hurts the capability to bring business in here. It's hurting the people. We have plenty of people in this city that can't put food on their table. I hate to keep on saying that, but it happens to be a fact of life. And to put taxes on their electric bill is a sin as far as I'm concerned. Now, I made commitments when I ran, and one of the commitments that I made was no new taxes or assessments. I have kept that commitment because, first of all, because of the problems...
So, Mr. Mayor, can you move that closer? You can't really hear him.
Because of the problems that we have in the city, our economy is starting to mend itself, but it hasn't gotten down to the street level yet. We have to realize and understand that. There are ways we could save money. I saw a list for $14.2 million worth of heavy equipment. We don't need that heavy equipment.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Williams is next. If you get the microphone, all the way down to the other side. Thank you.
I was embarrassed the way these taxes were presented. That doom and gloom, we're going to shut down special populations, give me a break. That would never happen. I definitely would have voted against the public service tax. And when I get into office, if it can be repealed, there's going to be a vote to do that. The fire assessment tax, I was against it. I'm still against it, but at this point in time, we have had so much neglect over the past years. We need to get some stuff done, and we need a shot in the arm. As long as we hold the city manager to the fire with his promise to reduce the millage as we're going along with the growth that is happening, I probably would take the shot in the arm right now with the fire service assessment. Thank you.
My name's Kevin McGrail. I voted for the public service tax and I voted for the fire service assessment. And I did so because the city of Cape Coral has been put on hold for 7 years when it came to capital improvement. The roads in the North Cape that hadn't been touched for 40 years were going to go another 40 before they ever saw pavement. Those people are driving on dirt. It's time we recognize that you have to pay for services. Two things we've done. The public service tax now involves the renters. The city of Cape Coral has more renters now than at any time in its history because of the foreclosure crisis. The fire service assessment, $104.23 is what those empty lot owners are going to pay. $104.23. If we up their millage rate to go to a maximum of 10%, you would get $15 out of those lots. 48% of this city is empty lots. It's time they were involved in putting our infrastructure and keeping it in place. Thank you.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, my answer is yes. We need to move forward now, friends. What we have to do is continue to look for solutions to help diversify that, to make sure the millage rate does go down, that the fire assessment does go down, and then possibly in the future get the PST down. We work together in the few years that we're going to come up together. Let's look for ways. Let's continue to look for ways. This doesn't mean we're stopping here. This means we're continuing. We're going to work together. We're going to find the solutions so that way in 50 years from now, we have the answers for the city. Thank you.
Folks, I voted no for the additional taxes, and I would continue to do so. We don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. The city of Cape Coral has not learned how to act in a financially responsible manner, and let me give you the city auditor's 2012 compensation analysis. While all of you saw no increases in your investments in Social Security from 2008 until September 30th, 2012, with the givebacks and the pension considerations, the general bargaining unit still saw a 5.5% increase over 5 years. The rank and file fire department saw a 12.5% increase. The police officers and sergeants saw an 8% increase, and police lieutenants a 7% increase. We got a spending problem. Thank you.
Mr. Wood. As I had stated earlier, I will not support any tax unless it's part of a plan to take us into the future, to grow into a solid city. This, the latest one, the energy tax that we saw, that was rushed through, and they estimated the grand list to grow at 4%. If they had waited 2 more weeks, they would have found out that it grew closer to 7. Does that mean that the council's going to revisit that and lower the rate? I doubt it. So, no, again, we have to form a plan, know where our income streams are coming from, know what our costs are, and move forward intelligently. The Cape can move ahead with David Head, and everybody will be smiling.
All right. The next question will go to Councilmember Leeds. The question is, Fort Myers seems years ahead of Cape Coral when it comes to being business friendly. Time and time again, it seems like Cape Coral pushes businesses away. What would you do as mayor or a city council member to address the concerns of the business community?
As a council member, I've been very consistent in my position. If we can get government out of the way of the private entrepreneurs and businesses, we will grow. One of the areas that I will definitely be working on in my next term is to get into a public-private partnership and basically contract out all of our Department of Community Development. That is not a core function of government. We do not need to be paying government pensions and government wages. It has been privatized all across the United States, and actually our city manager is very interested in creating a private-public partnership where we could free ourselves of the burden that should be in the private sector.
Thank you. Mr. Hood. Mr. Hood. I have been very concerned because for the past year or so, economic development has been kind of not there. We really have to work on it hard. And I would probably work more with the people in the town first and then reach out to the rest of the community throughout the state and throughout the nation. We have lost companies in this town. We had an internet company here about 4 or 5 years ago, and all of a sudden they packed up and moved to Fort Myers. That shouldn't have happened. So I think we have to work much harder with economic development. I'm not familiar with the new gentleman, and I know he's only been there, I think, less than a year, but that's one of our seriously weak points. Thank you.
You know, I probably created more jobs in my own business and in the private sector than everybody up here combined in politics. So, I mean, everybody has to get a little bit real. What I can tell you is that what the elected officials could do is to try and get along and make sure that their city is respected in the community, it's respected in the region, it's respected around the state. We need to make our image come close to it. We need to be a positive force and a leader in Southwest Florida. That will solve a lot of our problems. It's also the economy, as it's been said in the past. When the economy grows, we will grow as well. What we can do to help with that, we can continue to make our business development more business-friendly, permitting, reviewing, designing, etc. We also can start working on maybe some sector planning and some community planning. I started looking at that in 2008. However, the economy went so bad that we had to abandon that and move on to more important things. So there's a lot of things we can do, but primarily we just have to be a city that gains respect from around the state. Thank you.
No, I'm good. I was just making sure you're good to go. You know, I've said all along in this campaign that we needed to stop the philosophy of no. I've spoken to a lot of people, a lot of developers, and what they'll tell you is they feel like when they go to the city to get something done, it's not how can we help you, let's see what we can do to fix that. It's no. They would rather go across the bridge and do it somewhere else that they're going to actually help them. So some of the things that we need to change, we need to get rid of the impact fees. We need to be on a level playing field. We're not on a level playing field, folks. We need to get there. Just like in the plan, we need to look back at the ordinances. Folks, if we keep giving variances, on everything that comes in, if it's been done more than 10 times, let's just redo it. So we don't have to waste the city council's time, the person trying to build here, and anybody else involved, so that we can get that project underway quicker and we can start getting some of that revenue and tax revenue in. We have to stop the philosophy of no.
I believe that the key to economic development is a sound infrastructure base. How can we talk about bringing businesses to this community when we don't even have a solid, clean water utility system that's reaching to the full scope of operations in this town? We also have a situation where our economic base is so lopsided between residential and commercial. We need to develop the North Cape Industrial Park, which is on the frontier of our city, an export-driven economic model where we manufacture things to send out, which creates jobs, which creates taxes, and lowers the property tax burden on the homestead property owner. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Boyd.
We need to do what we did from 98 to 2003, and that is entice businesses to come here that are businesses. And not just businesses like dollar stores and gas stations. I'm talking, when I was on council, we enticed and worked with Cape Harbor, Tarpon Point, multiple Targets, Super Walmarts, 100 along Pine Island Road corridor. That was all while we were on council. But the way that we did that was we have to offer them something in return. And paradise and sunny skies isn't going to cut it. What we need to start doing is streamlining permits. We need to offer impact fee credits. The government needs to get less involved and make the process quicker. And I think after that, you'll find that the businesses themselves can handle the rest of the work that they need to do to put the structure up and get us some jobs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
One of the things that was brought up by one of the other contestants, let's say, was streamlining the permit process. That was one of the first things that I tried to tackle when I first got elected. I told the then acting city manager that he needs to clean up DCD. It's gotten better, but it's not where it needs to be. I think one of the things we may want to do is contract that out to the county. I understand that their process is very smooth, it's very quick, and it's very efficient. And that's what we need in order to bring in business. We need to try to change the reputation that we've built over a period of 20, 30, 40 years as being hard to do business with. Now, we've gotten better, but we're still not there yet. I think they've had plenty of time to fix the problem. It's time we take action and move it out of here. Thank you.
It's a hard comparison against Fort Myers. They've already got a lot of business over there, and business begets business. That will draw its own business. We have a couple of issues here that we're going to have to deal with. First, we don't have I-75, and we don't have RSW, the airport, so we have to work around that. We need to get our infrastructure done. We need to get our utilities done. It's extremely important. We need to have an efficient, well-run government. If we don't have that, we won't even be considered. We need to be ready to bring this business in. We need to partner up with developers. They're the ones that can bring this stuff to us. We have a economic development office. He's working hard, but when they come here, then they're dealing with the government. We've got to get straightened out. That's extremely important. Thank you.
Mr. Brown. Thank you. We need to stop being the city and no. Okay, that hurt us so badly. When businesses would come here, they're trying to retrofit into neighborhoods because there were no commercial corridors that were set aside. The infrastructure's not in place. They're not going to build a major big box store on a well and a septic tank. You need to get your infrastructure in place. We have two major entrances to this city that need to be leveraged. North Del Prado needs the interchange at I-75. I'm on the MPO. I've been fighting very hard to keep it there. Birdstore Road is going, I call it Del Prado West. That'll be our commercial corridor on the western side of our city. Pine Island Road, the expansion is occurring as we speak right now. The shovels are in the ground. We need to get that infrastructure in place, carve out those commercial corridors, and then put out the welcome mat. That's what the Zucker report worked at. Thank you.
Mr. Malone. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is not wait 4 years to do it or say I'm going to do it. We have 160,000 residents, folks. That's the biggest incentive we have for Lee County, Southwest Florida, anywhere between Tampa and Miami. What I will do is work with CDC, work with planning, and what we're going to do is make sure that the planning of the zones is good, because the Cape Coral, that's been its biggest problem, is we're not planning to be Fort Myers, we're not planning to be Miami, we're not planning to be Tampa. We're our own city. We need to create our own city. So how do we do that? How do we fix that? We plan. How do we plan? We work with residents. We also work with the business out there that are here today. I can't create jobs. That's not the role of government. But we can work with the businesses to make sure that government is out and enticing other businesses in the future to come to Cape Coral. Thank you. Thank you. All right. The next question goes to A.J. Boyd. Can we pass the microphone down, please? All right, here's your question. Every candidate talks about economic development, jobs, taxes, and safety. What is an issue that you feel strongly about that may not be on the radar for most residents? I'm sorry, should I repeat it?
Yeah, that's kind of...
Okay, so every candidate talks about the same stuff. They talk about economic development, jobs, taxes, and safety. What is an issue you feel strongly about that you may not be, or that may not be on the radar? Something that's not, has to do with economic development, jobs, taxes, and safety. Something that you feel passionate about. There's other issues out there besides those 4 things. Every candidate talks about those 4 things over and over again. What other issue do you see that's an issue in the city?
So I should talk about taxes. I can't.
Yeah, everyone talks about taxes, but there's also other issues out there besides that.
Right.
You don't see that?
No, I see most of them stemming back to economic development, taxes, safety. I mean, obviously, police safety is police is one of my major things that I tote, that we doubled the department and did a lot while I was on council, but again, that would turn around and go right back to safety. Economic development is to bring in jobs. That would be, well, I guess this economic development. My whole goal is to actually market the city, no different than we did before, and have successful projects like the ones I had just mentioned come to town. But we're not going to be able to do that until we have a council that respects one another and starts to market some of the things that we have that others don't have. Maybe that's what you're looking for. Like start marketing the canal system, the navigational part of this city. And
so you just answered the question.
And not so much.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
One of my favorite things, and one of the things that I support very much, is our veteran community here in Cape Coral. They've done an awful lot for us. As a matter of fact, they not only saved this country, they saved the world. Right now, we're working on a project to build one of the first monuments for the Iraq veterans. And I'd certainly like to see people step forward and contribute or donate to that project. We're hoping to have that finished on November the 10th. That's the scheduled date. We need some money to get it done, so people folks can open your hearts, reach in your wallets, and make a contribution to the Cape Coral Community Foundation. And on the check, please mark Iraq Monument or Veterans Monument. That certainly would help us, and I think that we need to support these veterans any and every way that we possibly can. Thank you. Sorry for the commercial, but
no, it was great. Thanks.
Very passionate about it.
Where does it go? There, just let it go all the way down. So do I. You should go the other way too. Thank you.
One thing that I've noticed, and actually the recession made it a little stand out a little bit more, is that periodically we have this problem in the city where we have north versus south. The UEP has brought this out. You've got the ratepayers in the south.
I'm sorry, Mr. Williams, can I ask you real quickly? A lot of people have told me before the forum started, if you talk about the UEP, what do you mean by the UEP? Because a lot of people don't know what it
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're very right. Utility Expansion Program. The ratepayers are paying for the north plant. They're blaming the north for having the north plant, and we're not getting the sewers, and we're complaining about the prices, and this headbutting, and it's just not good for the community. We have to start working together. That's been my theme all through this forum. We need to work together, and we've got to stop pointing fingers and so forth. And it's happening on the council, it's on the dais, it's in the neighborhoods. That I see is probably on the radar or not on the radar, but it's something that does concern me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I've been on council for 4 years. I've been the voice of reason for 4 years. That's the comment that you'll hear about me when you watch the council meetings or attend the meetings. The issue that I hold near and dear to my heart is quality of life in the neighborhoods. I truly believe that's the strength of our city. Making sure the kids can cross Del Prado Boulevard to get to Burton Park, I took that and made it my own issue and made sure those kids can get across. That's going to happen. We need to support Special Pops. It's the true gem of this city. It's one of the great things that make Cape Coral special, that we care about a community that needs our support and nurturing. So the strength of this city is in the neighborhoods and the community, and that's why I live here. and that's why I don't live in Fort Myers. Thank you.
I'll try to hit a topic nobody talked about yet. You know what I want to do is do a charter review and an ordinance overhaul. Not what we did in 2011. I want to do is take a team in and go out every ordinance, every sentence, every period, dot, everything. Because there are ordinances in place in the city that just hinder not only residents but businesses that come into place. So we just want to go into that, I want to look forward into that and make sure that we do it right, and it's going to be a long-term process, and I think that's how we're going to make a successful one. So that's what I really want to look at. Thank you.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Every candidate talks about economic development, jobs, taxes, and safety. What is an issue you feel strongly about that may not be on the radar with most residents, or for most residents, sorry?
Thank you. The issue that's not on the radar with too many people these days, because of what we see at the national, federal, state level, is personal responsibility. Too often today, we've turned over our lives to our government. I won't even attempt to repeat the words of our President John F. Kennedy, but his words still ring true today. If the people of this city would be welcomed for their initiative and their support, we wouldn't have nearly as few people attending city council members. If we would treat them with the dignity that they deserve when they volunteer for a committee, instead of threatening to get the truth out of them in a private room, we would have much more in the way of volunteers. Personal responsibility, folks. Do you have it? I do. Support me in November election. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Head.
Yes, sir.
I kind of agree with AJ. You've taken away just about everything. But there is one program that's been kind of a pet of mine that I've watched over in Fort Myers. They have a very active athletic outreach. Jeff Miley runs a program over there, and he's constantly bringing in tournaments and everything you can possibly think of, from rollerblading to softball to baseball, etc. We have a little bit of that in Cape Coral. We have a lot of wonderful facilities, so I would probably like to maybe even get together with them and run a partnership or do something further to that end, because that fills the hotels, it fills the restaurants, and it helps the small business, and the small business helps us. So that's one area that I think I'd like to investigate further. Thank you, Mr. Birch.
Thank you. I haven't started yet, but thank you anyway. Well, we've talked about leadership and growth, so I won't go there again. Certainly that's one of those things under the radar screen that needs to be addressed. But for me, I'm the vice chairman of the American Public Works Association, and this week I'll become the chairman of that. Not that I wanted to be there, but I've been kind of pushed into that position. That brings me to the one I'm thinking about, which is, the wheels are falling off a lot of our trucks. Our maintenance of our roadways, the maintenance of our trucks, our computers, everything has been neglected. That's going to be something we are going to have to deal with. And if we don't, our quality of life will suffer as a result. The other part of this is that people don't think about it, don't even understand. We lost in the last 4 years just about every director we have in this city. They all went for whatever reason. It seemed like the great purge to me, but they've all landed in other jobs. They're all very successful. See Carl Schwing, see Terry Stewart, see Chuck Pavlos, all those guys, Mark Mason, they're all in jobs elsewhere that are good. In the next 2 to 3 years, we will be facing many of the people in this city retiring. Now, you may or may not think that's good, but the bottom line is we will have to find a way to transition into those positions. Thank you.
Mr. Ashby.
I'm going to touch on an area that nobody's touched on. I'm glad to see that a lot of candidates and people have read the plan. It seems like a lot of things going on in the plan that we've talked about tonight. But one of the things that we haven't talked about is how we're going to build those relationships, not with just the municipalities across the river, but with the state and the federal. We have to be able to have those relationships, folks. I'm that person. I have those relationships because of what's happened with the VAs and the National Coalition for Patriots. We've built those relationships with the congressmen, and we're going to build those relationships with the state level. We need to make those visits and let them know that we are the 9th largest city, I keep saying that, 9th largest city in the 4th largest state, and we need to earn that respect back. That's something that we think, or I think, is left under the radar and people aren't talking about.
For me, the one issue that we're not talking about in this room is the environment. Let's look at the river, the black water and the discharge that's coming down from Lake Okeechobee. An emergency has been declared by the Corps of Engineers. We could have a breach on Lake Okeechobee at any time with the water rising. That discharge that comes down our river goes into our saltwater canals, closes the yacht club beach, and ultimately kills the seagrass that destroys our fishing industry, is what's going to be the forebearer for setting up our city to fail. If we do not have good, clean water that comes by our shores, our economy will falter and Cape Coral will become a wasteland. WRDA needs to be passed by the United States Congress, and Cape Coral needs to lead the way in getting it implemented and funded with more watersheds in Southwest Florida. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cummings. Hey, that will hold on to the microphone because you're actually going to be, the next question is yours. And this is the final question, and then we'll move into closing. Since this is a Republican forum, we can ask you this. Do you consider yourself to be a conservative or moderate Republican? And does this have an impact on how you will govern as a mayor or a council member?
Yes, I am a Republican, but the one thing I'll conservative or a moderate Republican. I am proud to say that I am a Republican and I am a moderate. But this race is a nonpartisan race. And there's two people that have been excluded, which I feel needed to have been up here in the first place. Because even as a Republican, I'm a combat veteran, and I've fought for the rights of all of us to have a voice. Not only the men up here, but the lady in the room and her other candidate. So with that, I am a moderate Republican. I'm willing to stand up for all of our citizens, regardless of their political philosophies, to do the right thing by every citizen in this community, because we deserve better than what we have right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd.
I would say I'm a conservative Republican. I'm not sure if we're even supposed to be talking about this in a nonpartisan election, but anyways, I guess it's because we're at the Republican Party that makes it okay. I'd really like to also let people know that when I was on council, party didn't play, to answer the party play question. It was more about what you could do for the citizens that elect you, get you in office, and rely on you to do the best job. Yes, I've been Republican since I pretty much lived here, 27 years. But I'm a very open-minded thinker. You can come to me. I have an open-door policy. I will be a full-time mayor, even though it does not have full-time pay. And you can come to me with your ideas. They may differ completely from mine. But as I've shown in the past, that I'm wide open to suggestions. And it's not my way or the highway. It never has been. It never will be. Thank you.
I am a proud Republican. I'm a very conservative Republican. I believe in less government, less taxes, and less wasteful spending. Spending, folks, is our problem. Not the taxes, not the money that we're taking in. I think I've proved myself over the last 3 3/4 years in some of the hardest times in Cape Coral. If I tell you something, you can take it to the bank. I keep my word, I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. So please, vote for me in September. Thank you very much.
I am a conservative Republican. I look very hard at anything I spend, remembering that I'm spending your money. I am flexible, though. If it makes sense, I will spend it. I'm not a hard line. I'm not going to spend a penny Republican. But I am conservative. I'm a fiscal conservative. And I don't know what I can add to that. Thank you.
My name is Kevin McGrail. I'm a 33-year registered Republican. I call myself a conservative. I've been married 38 years. My word is my bond, and I expect value for my tax dollar. And that's what I've attempted to do as your councilman, to try to get return on the investment that we put into our tax dollars. And I've worked very hard for the past 4 years to make sure that there is value for every dollar that we collect in our city. Thank you.
Mr. Allen. Well, I like to consider myself conservative, borderline libertarian, to be honest with you. You got to understand, folks. You got 3 levels of government: national, state, and local. Local, there's no business for politics in local because they're there to serve you specifically, to give you the services that are needed. All right. When you start getting into when you start getting into state and national politics. All right, that's when government doesn't have the business of telling you who you can marry. Government doesn't have the business to tell you, whether or not welfare needs a complete overhaul. All right, the government doesn't have the business of telling other countries how they should be. All right, because this is America. We're about ourselves. So I consider myself conservative. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Leeds. Most assuredly, folks, I would consider myself a moderate Republican. It's no secret to anybody that I changed parties late last year. I'm very pleased that I did. One of the issues that I've said for nearly a decade, and I will say it again this evening, is the 2 major political parties, neither of them have stuck to their platforms for more than 2 decades. They have both been morphed into hybrids of what we all knew as a Republican platform and a Democratic platform. On the local level, it makes only a small bit of difference. On the national level, it's considerably different. What's most important is I'm the type of elected official, and will continue to be, that looks for one special interest group and only one, and that is the residents, voters, and citizens of Cape Coral. End of my special interest support. Thank you.
Mr. Wood.
For those of you who might remember, I consider myself to be a Goldwater conservative. That's a little different. That's a little different. I'm a social moderate. I would like to see my party get out of a lot of the social issues that they're currently involved with, quite frankly, and pay attention to running a government for the people. But conservative, but moderate. There are times when the government has to support the people. Not too often, I hope.
Well, it is a nonpartisan race, and I think it's an unfortunate question. I recognize it's a Republican debate, but I guess I could say this: as the mayor of the biggest spending reduction in the history of the city, I could call myself a fiscal conservative without any question, and the biggest one here to date. As far as parties, I don't use my party to my advantage. I think that people that vote by party typically end up with good people and bad people. You can't put me in a box. I'm very, very happy with that, and I'm very proud of that, and I teach my kids. Think openly. Make sure that you look at the facts. Make sure that you understand what you're doing when you make a decision. And that could come out on a libertarian side, which I've sided with in the past at times, and it could come out on a liberal side, which I've sided with in the past as well. It's not all black and white, folks. It's not all liberal and conservative. It's not all hate and love. There is a gray area in the middle. We should all open our minds and try and use our minds, and we can solve the problems of this country. And certainly at the local level, we can solve the local levels without even bothering with those things.
Thank you. Mr. Ashby.
Well, I'm a conservative Republican. I believe in liberty, freedom, and personal responsibility. But I also am going to shock some people here, because I don't have all the answers, and I don't think anybody here has all the answers. So we need to be able to work on both sides of the aisle. We have to work as a team. I agree, going back to what Richard had said. We have to be there for the citizens of Cape Coral. I'm not running against anybody up here. I'm running for you folks and what's best for the city. It has to be the decisions that are going to work best on both sides of the aisle, not what's going to be best for that party, one side or the other. In local politics, it's about what's going to work, not R-I-D, any of that stuff. It has to be what's going to work best for you, the citizens. And we can do that, folks. We can move this city forward.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move into closing, so I guess we can start on this side. Is this Mr. Sullivan? All right. 1 minute, yeah.
Well, at least I didn't put any bubble gum in the microphone anyway, so. But we've had 3.5, 3 3/4 very tough years here. But we have been able to make some great accomplishments. For example, the Pine Island Road widening was going to cost $54 million. We actually got it done for $2 million. And the way we did it was by thinking outside the box. We were thinking more like the private sector than like a government agency. More of this needs to be done. I'm going to ask you folks to please go out and vote. Please study the candidates. If they've been in elected office, see which promises they made, what they kept and what they didn't keep. Listen carefully to what they say, because it's your future. Please vote for me on September the 10th. Thank you very much for listening.
I'm going to break it up a little bit. I think the mayor's race is different than the council's race, especially when it comes to closing statements. The race in the mayor is all about, yes, you're considered another councilman. I've proven I've done that for 9 years. I termed out. I didn't get indicted or whatever. I termed out. But the mayor is different than the council because you're the face of the city. You're the ambassador. You're the guy that has to be able to work with everybody up there in council, have a good working relationship with the county, the state, which I do. I mean, look at it. Me and John can't stand each other, and I've been nice to him all night. So anyways, I'll keep it short and sweet. I can work with anybody. My colleagues will tell you that. I've kept all my promises. I did reduce the millage rate from 6.84 down to 4.84. The things that I did say, I did do, and as your mayor, I will do them even better. The best part is I can say, if I only knew now what I knew then, and I could expand on that, I can say that. I'm the only one up here that can. So please vote A.J. Boyd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cummings.
Ladies and gentlemen, I firmly believe, as representing the anchors of my platform, that Cape Coral will never reach its destiny if we don't get our infrastructure under control. A 3,000-mile road grid that needs to be universally sustained. Bridges that are about to reach the end of their lifespan. Hundreds of millions of dollars of unfunded liabilities. A water system that needs to be on the move, and a charter school system that ultimately has to be sustained. If we do not lay the foundations and the fundamentals of this community, we're only setting ourselves up to fail. I will be the ambassador and statesman that this community has not only long deserved, but needs to be a leader in this area, the state, the country, and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alstein.
I'm sorry, Mr. Birch. He's going to need a new knee by the time this thing's over with. First of all, thank you all for coming out again tonight. You know, this is what Cape Coral is about, the educated voter. So thank you all for coming out and listening to what's going on, and the Young Republicans for putting this together. You know, it shouldn't matter, kind of going back to the other question, it shouldn't matter what party you're with. It should be the best person for the job, because that's what's going to move this city forward. That's what's going to make us not be in this predicament that we're in 5, 10, 15 years down the road. I have a proven business background. I have no political background. You can look and see what I've done with the companies that I've worked for. That's the kind of person that we need in the city, one that has community background and the business background. And I am that person that's going to move this city forward. I need your vote in September to move this city forward. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Well, folks, you know, I spent 2 years in politics, and I'm very proud of what we accomplished. It's all here, you know, so if you want to see what we got done, you know, take a look at it. We did that by being a civil council. We did that by getting together and doing things, even though some of us disagreed. We still got together and got things done. I'm doing this because I love this city. I've been here for more than 20 years. This is my home. This will be my home forever. I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of my city. I'm passionate about moving this city forward. We must move forward. We're stuck in neutral. We need to move forward. There are many, many ways we can do that. There are some things that we haven't talked about tonight. We are a pre-platted community. It's very important. I'm talking with state legislators now as we speak about how to change our revenue streams, about how to make sure that the state recognizes that we have challenges, and we will get there. So we have a lot of things that we can do. Yes, the mayor is basically the face of the city. I didn't run for mayor. I saw many qualified candidates here. I ran for District 1 because I love the city. I don't care about titles. I want to get something done. I want this city, 4 years from the day I take office, to be able to be called the leader in Southwest Florida, and by golly, we'll get there if you vote for me on November the 4th.
We still go back to fiscal responsibility. We can't simply pull taxes out of the air, not wonder where we're going or how we're going to get there. So we do have to develop an economic plan, know what we need for the next 5 years, know what our income streams are, and then make intelligent proposals and movements to move us ahead as a city. Also, I have been very good in the past at developing consensus among different groups. That has been one of my strengths, and I will, as I have previously, reach out to the people, find out what they're thinking and what's going on, and then I can work much more efficiently. So don't forget, move ahead, move the Cape ahead with David ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out this evening. I know you could be at home enjoying your families, but I do respect your time. In 2009, I made a commitment that I would ask questions, do the work, be responsible to the voters and the residents of this city. I have fulfilled those commitments. With your support on November 5th, I will continue to do that for 4 more years. And as I said earlier, there should be a benefit to being an incumbent, but I believe that in today's political world it may actually be a detriment. But I'd ask you to look at my independent voting record and the fact that the only special interest that I have supported consistently is you, the people of Cape Coral. You can go for experience, or you can take a chance and roll the dice. In politics, I want to see some experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. William. If experience says anything, the past 2 weeks on council can be proven. Very good experience. That's been status quo the past 3.5 years. Status quo, friends, I'm not happy with it. And I know a lot of people aren't happy with it either. We're going to continue to work forward. We're going to continue to November 5th because status quo isn't good enough. The city deserves better. The city deserves better. You deserve better. Don't ever kid yourselves with that. And we have that power to change that. This year, we can change that. Let's do it together. Vote Richard Leon November 5th, and let's move the city forward, friends. Thank you.
Looks like he's got the home crowd going. I've been your councilman since 2009. I've lived in the city 24 years. My goal then and now is to keep this city the city that we're proud to call home, that I'm proud to give to my grandchildren who live here. We need the infrastructure in place. We need the entrances to our city to be developed. We need to have a plan. I've been working on the Metropolitan Planning Organization. I've been working on City Council. I've been working as the Charter School Board liaison. All of these things is to make Cape Coral a strong Cape Coral and a Cape Coral that is able to recognize its economic future, which is right there. It's there for us to take. We are the largest city in Southwest Florida. It's time we assume that role of leadership. Thank you.
I have a dream. You folks have probably seen these surveys, national surveys that go on the internet or the different magazine. Forbes, I believe, does one. The best cities to live in. Why aren't we on that? That's what I'm dreaming. Let's do this. I think we can. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm going to look at the dollars. I'm going to study the issues and the budget. I'm going to try to get rid of that public service tax. I'm going to drive to get the millage rate down. That's extremely important. I have literature on the table back there that will show you my qualifications. I was on the MPO Citizen Advisory Committee, so I've got that experience also. I don't want to go through the whole list. But I'm asking for your vote. I'm on fixed income, like many of you are. I'm on Social Security, so I know what a lot of people are going through. I need this job. I need the money, folks. So please, vote for me November 5th. Thank you.
Everyone give him a round of applause. I want to thank everyone that came out tonight. I want to thank the candidates. You guys did a terrific job. Not everyone can do what you guys do, so I really applaud what you do. It's awesome. One thing I want to mention, Drew Steele, he's here tonight, 92.5 Fox News. He was a huge help for tonight. This turnout, we couldn't have done it without Drew. Could you come up here a moment and say a few words?
All right. Hello, everybody. First of all, I just want to say that I'm really loud, so obviously I don't even need the microphone. Second of all, I have been sleeping, or typically during the week, I would be in bed 3 hours now, so 9 o'clock is way past my bedtime, getting up at 3 in the morning, so I'm doing pretty good. Yes, that was a cheap round of applause. I'm just digging for it. Okay. First of all, thank you for being here. You understand and you appreciate how important it is. For me, I used to live here from 1986 to 1998. I moved here. My family moved here in 1978. My grandparents, who still, when they passed away, they were buried just a few blocks down the road. And we have family that lives right behind here, as a matter of fact, that still continue to live here. So this city is special, and you all know how special this city is. And I'll be blunt. I will be blunt. I am here tonight because I wanted to hear what was going to be discussed tonight because, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I will say it. I was concerned because in 1986 and the years following, I felt like, please, I don't want to hear the same discussion that I heard 30 years ago happening today. I'm afraid that I continue to hear some of these discussions in the city of Cape Coral, and I'm going to be blunt. That is a concern. And if you've been here for a long period of time, you probably know that that's true. And I don't know whose fault it is, and I don't know if there's bickering, and I don't know whether or not somebody has an agenda and another person does not. I'm not concerned about people getting along. I'm just concerned about people getting things done. And it would be nice to see things getting done in the Cape. I still say, and I've said this before, and I still have a question about that. In 1986, I always said to people, you know what? Why do I always have to drive over the bridge to go to the Edison Mall? Why is there not a mall in Cape Coral? It's a pretty big city. Why is there not a major shopping mall? Not the Collinwood Mall, with all due respect. That's a mall by name, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So there's this concern, and it may sound
small, but to me, it's indicative of the city and where you should be at this point. Everybody here realizes it's the 9th largest city in the 4th largest state, as we've heard. That's a 9th largest city without a major shopping mall. I'm just going by that. Everything else, you see what I'm saying? Everything else. So I love the city of Cape Coral. I appreciate what has been here in the past. I appreciate what can be here in the future. I believe that there are people that are up here right now who have the best interest of the city and can make things happen moving forward with the city, and I believe that there absolutely are people here. Please do this. Let's get this done. The city of Cape Coral is a great place, and you all agree, and so please do that. A shopping mall would be nice, a nice, small, enclosed. Okay, anyway, enough. And thank you all for being here, seriously, and I'm going to go, am I drawing? What am I doing, Ricky? Am I drawing? No, we got a 50-50 drawing over here. All right, well, don't make it sound like it's such a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing. And actually,
doesn't that mean cash? That means, all right.
The pot tonight.
I talk like I'm in the casino. Okay. We've got $64 for the 50-50.
$64. Anybody need $64?
I know.
All right. I'm drawing this in